Ulonkata bati yada tó yẹ kó máa da ifá. Inú tó yẹ kó jẹun, lọ fi bí pa. Ọba tálá, ọba takuntakun. Ṣàngó, Èṣù, Ògún, Ọya, Ọ̀ṣun. Ìwọ ló ń bọ̀ nílé. Kí ni ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ tán ṣe nílé yìí o? Ó jẹ́ lọ jára.
Let me make sure.
Alafia, peace and blessings, peace and blessings. Welcome to another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. I am your host, Orisha Bemi, and today we have another legend here on the African Spirituality Experience. We have none other than the world-renowned scholar, historian, master teacher, the Honorable Professor James Smalls. Alafia, peace and blessings, Professor Smalls. How you doing?
Alafia, Baba, I'm doing good. Just trying to be.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let me see. It's been a lot since the last time we spoke. So first and foremost, I want to give gratitude and thanks for you taking the time to join us. And
Yes,
you know, the family is definitely looking forward to this. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I thought I lost you. But yeah, so yeah, with that, bye-bye. We spoke last week, and you know, you was kind of letting me know how you felt in regards to this whole political debate. We was going to try to get it going before the election, but you know, as the schedule would have it, it didn't work out that way. But it's kind of good in the way I see it, because now we can kind of see what happened, who got in there, and then where do we go from here. So with that, bye-bye, how do you feel like this situation is going to unfold in the state of America with DT getting back in office?
It's just white people. And Biden was just white people. Remember, Kamala Harris was the vice president. She was just sitting and waiting. Biden and his white men around him was the presidency.
Right.
And what we were dealing with, white male dominant. What we're going to have is white male dominance now. So it's nothing much would have changed for us, the African community in America, even had Miss Harris got in. The only thing that might have changed is some of the stress of white racist antagonism may have been lessened. You know what I'm saying? Whereas now they'd be maybe more emboldened in the different institutions that affect our lives. Other than that, I can't imagine anything much would change unless we were prepared to change it, no matter who's in there at the presidency. Right now, we've spent last year close to $2 trillion with other than African people. We spend our money with the Arabs, who's classified as whites and who operate and act as whites and ally themselves with white Americans. We spend, you go to the stores we're shopping to, we're spending with white Latinos, who's classified in the census as white, who ally themselves with and identify themselves with white Americans. We spend our money with Asians, who are classified as whites, and who we spend our money with, and they ally themselves and support white Americans. So unless we're going to change that scenario, it doesn't matter who's president of the United States. All right?
Right.
Because we are emboldening and financially empowering our enemies while we're pretending that we are people of color. They don't pretend. Asians know they're Asians. They don't give a damn about black folks as a general proposition. White Latinos know they are Latino whites, and they use that word Latino to identify themselves not with Africa, but with Spain, their whiteness, okay? And so, and white Americans, and when you want somebody to come fix your roof, here comes an Eastern European. You want somebody to do your plumbing, here comes an Eastern European. You want somebody to do your painting, here's somebody from Central America or South America. Neither one identify with us. They do not live in our community. They do not invest that money we give them in our community. They do not support any institutions in our community. So until we change that behavior on our part, it does not matter what party is in power or what individual is the president. I think that covers that. We can get talk about some spiritual stuff now.
Look, look, you ain't waste no time because I was gonna go there before we dive in.
Hit the nail right on the head.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because I feel like that's the one thing that will give us the opportunity to level the playing field, you know, and with that, Yeah Oya has been a very, very prominent topic on the show over the last maybe 4 to 6 weeks, the last month and a half or so, and especially in regards to us seeing the storms down here in the Southeast region, the storms here in Florida, the storms in Georgia, but also I've been seeing and feeling a lot of the energy in regards to transformation and just the power and the nature and the shift of consciousness elevating and, you know, the rebirth of things that's going on, things that are dying away and things that are, you know, being built and coming into fruition. So with that, Baba, how can we tap into Ifa, Isheshe, and African spirituality to kind of neutralize some of the things that we're dealing with as a people in the country?
Okay, first thing, when you say Ifa, what are we talking about? What do we mean? What does Ifa mean? Because 99% of the people that just heard that word don't have a clue what Ifa means. Now, I'll tell you not to get you in any, put you in any trap or anything. My simple definition is the wisdom of the universe. You know, that's my simple definition for Ifa. The wisdom of the universe. You know, there's only one sun in the sky, right? It shines on everybody on the planet Earth, right? The Chinese don't have a Chinese sun, and the Europeans have a European sun, and the Latinos have a Latino sun, and the Africans have a African sun. There's only one sun. It does the same thing to everybody it shines on. But when I say Ifa is the wisdom of the universe, we want to let people know we're not talking about something that's alien to them to the point that they can hear us and think what we're saying sounds good, but have no understanding of what we're saying. So we explain to them that when we say Orisha, we're talking about the forces of nature that's within the human being and is also in every living thing in nature, including the greater ecological, environmental space we live in. Okay? And so we want to make sure people understand what we're talking about so they don't feel alienated. And a lot of times when we talk about our spiritual system, the people are looking for a different way, but we do the terms without breaking it down for them, and then they get lost and alienated. So when I talk about God, I'm talking about the totality of the universe. When I talk about God, I'm talking about everything that exists at once. Everything together makes up Oludumare, makes up the divine, makes up your Allah, makes up your Elohim, makes up your Yahweh. All they're saying, the ancient people, was that the totality of creation is divinity. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about understanding divinity. That's everything. We're talking about understanding that we're a part of that everything. We're talking about the wisdom that governs that we call Ifa, the wisdom that governs how we breathe, how we walk, how we talk, how we ingest food, how we distribute different minerals to different parts of our body, how the different minerals are delineated in the earth by its relationship with the sunlight, and on and on and on and on. So we're talking about how to understand that nature, environment, ecology, and cosmology, the stars, the moons, the planets, the things we call the heavens, the Milky Way, how they all have a relationship. And in that relationship, we are their creation. For me, that's Ifa. I hope that was a nutshell, right? Now, how do we figure out, how do we make all of this work for us on a daily basis? The most fundamental thing in Ifa is your health. What you eat. How do you take care of your body? We call those things exercises. What do you drink? Do you drink enough water? Since 70 to 80% of our body is water, do we drink enough on a daily basis? Why is that important? Drinking water is as spiritual as meditating and praying, okay? And somehow we don't understand that. How do we understand that the food that we eat, the healthy foods that we eat, learning how to delineate between the food chain that has been poisoned by the greed of the West and the food chain that we can call organic, that has not been poisoned by them, that we should try to get access to in order to nourish ourselves and keep our organism, our temple called the body, in an optimal way. All of that is Ipa. You know, we got an Orisha that tells us all about the forest. We have an Orisha that tells us all about herbs. We have an Orisha that tells us about power. We have an Orisha that tells us about change. We have an Orisha that tells us about transformation. We have an Orisha that tells us about intuition. We have an Orisha that tells us about nurturing, guidance, and mothering. All of those qualities and attributes are in nature. They're also palpable in us. And the Orishas simply identify them for us and how we can best develop them in us. That's where rituals and ceremonies come in, and culture. Culture is your fundamental education system. Within the culture is your music. Within the culture is your drumming. Within the culture is your dancing. Within the culture is your poetry. Within the culture is your theater. Within the culture is your art. Within the culture is your painting and your sculpting. All of those things in the culture is trying to deliver a message to your consciousness about the Orisha and about Ipa that you need to master in order to be an optimally healthy human being on the planet Earth. That's a lot of stuff in a few minutes, but I know people. The one thing I think I've been blessed is I know how to make it plain, because Malcolm told us that's what we have to do.
Oh yeah, nah, I love it. And for those, because I know I've been mentioning a lot of the work that you've done, you and Professor Kaba. For one, the Hidden Color series, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But you've been in Ancestral Voices, you've been in the Hopi documentaries, you've been in 1804. But I think one of my favorite ones, and nothing against none of them, because I love all of them, but 1804, I would have to say, is probably my favorite one because of what it not only entails, but the inspiration and the motivation that I feel like we need at a time like now. So in regards to that and that whole movement, can you kind of just break down the significance of why the Haitian Revolution was so monumental for us as melanated people on the planet?
Right, because the Haitian Revolution was one of the greatest battle ever undertaken on the planet Earth by a people for freedom. And there's a lot of people that fought some big battles, but they fought to steal the resources of somebody's country. They fought to dominate somebody else's land. That's not what the Haitian Revolution was about. The Haitian Revolution was about freeing the human spirit so that they might be free to be human beings on the planet Earth. It just so happened that the people that led that revolution were African people from all over the continent of Africa. And that's important to understand. Haiti had people from Congo, Angola, Cameroon, Benin, Togo, Ghana, Nigeria, Sudan, Ethiopia, South Africa. All of those African ethnic nations had culminated into a singular nation, a singular spirit force, Vodun. You know, the meaning of Vodun, meaning the essence of the universe, or the essence of the divine in man. The essence of the universe, or the essence of the divine in the nature ecology that we live in. That's Vodun. I mean, partially, it's much more complex, but that's the simplest way to look at it. The essence of the divine in you. That's Vodun. Then you study what is the essence of the divine. That's when you must study the Loa, or what we call in the Yoruba Orisha, or we call in Akan or Bosum, the quality and attributes of the universe that is alive in you and needs to be cultivated by you. If you don't cultivate a plant, it doesn't grow. So all of the Orishas are in all of it, but you must know which one to cultivate to better you, given who you were born to be.
That's right.
So, so the Haitian Revolution unleashed freedom and brought the worldwide slavery institution to an end. The Haitian Revolution did that. Slavery in America ended because of the Haitian Revolution and what it unleashed. Nat Turner, when he carried out his revolutionary attempt in Virginia, when they captured him and asked him who was his leader, he said Jean-Jacques Dessalines. So the judge stopped the trial. Sent the sheriff and them out, go find this Jean-Jacques Dessalines, bring him before me. They came back and said, well, this is a Haitian leader who was killed years ago. So they brought Turner up again before the court. They thought this Jean-Jacques is a dead man. How you saying that? He said, my leader is Jean-Jacques Dessalines. What he was saying was, my leader is the spirit of the Haitian Revolution. Then Magbesi is coming out of that same vein. All of the revolutionary leaders in America was taking their cue from Haiti. In Bolivia, Haiti sent troops and money to free the people of Bolivia, of Venezuela, of Brazil, of Central America. Haiti did that. Okay? It sent money to help fight against slavery in Cuba. Haiti did that. It sends troops to South America to help train Bolivia's forces. Haiti did that. You understand? Haiti defeated England. Haiti defeated France. Haiti defeated Spain. Haiti defeated America. The most powerful military ever assembled in the history of the world at that time was defeated by a bunch of Africans that had nothing more than their hoe, their cutlass, and their sickle when they started out. But what they had was the spirit of the Orisha, the spirit of Oludumare, the spirit of the Loa, the spirit of Papa Legba, the spirit of Oludumare, those energies in nature that is perfect. And when we capture fragments of those energies into our character, we change the world. Now, we call our institution in Haiti Vodun. But that's the same institution we call Ifa. You understand? It's not something different. It's the same institution in Kemet that was the deity. They're not deities.
The Netchers.
The Netchers.
Yes, sir.
The Netchers, the Loas, the Orishas, the Obathum, they're all the same thing. Just Africans speaking different language in different locations, trying to explain nature and cosmology to themselves.
I show you.
And for people who only know the Bible, the Torah, and the Quran, the Bible, the Torah, and the Quran took fragments from that system to create these religious institutions to govern themselves. You see, you have to learn certain principles, right, to develop a certain character to inform your behavior so that you can build the society and the communities you live in. Well, they took the fragments from your system to build what they have. The problem is they were only able to build what they have because the fragments wasn't enough. So they used death, destruction, and slaughter and genocide of other people in order to build America, to build England, to build France. They didn't build it because of the Bible or Christianity. They built it because of the blood they shed. They tried to govern it with Bible and Christianity, but that has never checked the violence and the genocide that they've gone through against other people. Same thing with the Torah, same thing with the Quran. The Quran may be more vicious than the Bible
Mm-hmm.
and what it unleashed on Africa and the Mediterranean during the period that they were in power and Asia.
Mm.
So you can't say God loved you while you're chopping my head off.
Yeah, that
You
part.
can't say God loved me and God is great while you're raping my woman and raping my daughter and raping my wife. And
That
then
part.
tell me to say God is great.
Mm.
So the truth is the only fundamental light.
Yeah.
Africa is the only group of people in the world that we know of that didn't go and commit mass genocide against any other parts of the world.
Mm. Mm. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot. And
Study
let me
history.
ask,
History will erase the mystery.
oh yeah. So, and speaking of history, and you spoke about the Netchers, the Orishas, and the Loas, and how they're all tied and connected to nature. So, with that, can you kind of speak to the significance of the meeting that was held in Haiti, like before they actually activated the revolution, and then also the significance of and the power of invoking the spirit and the energy of Ogun?
But we must be clear. You're talking about in the alligator swamp.
Yes, sir.
We're talking about Boukman and Cecile Fatima,
Yes, sir.
Depele, and others. But that wasn't the beginning of the revolution. That was the beginning of the end for the French. Let's get that clear. These people had been fighting for centuries before then to be free. And they were fighting under the guise of the same African spirit. One of our great ones that we talk about is Macandao,
Yes,
who
sir.
is teaching people how to use herbs to poison the French.
Mm.
And they had them dropping and dying all over the place until they figured out what was going on, and they captured Macandao and they hung him.
Mm-hmm.
And there were others before who were leading this great revolution. But what happened at Caiman, the alligator swamp that night, that's when a particular thrust that led to the end of the French, because the French had come in with their armies sent by Napoleon Bonaparte in a most vicious assault on the African people. They had dogs trained whom they kept hungry and was trained only to eat us alive. You know, they were burning us to death. They were committing open genocide and what they call today ethnic cleansing. And that's what people say, this ain't gonna happen like this.
I know that's right.
And they pulled together all of the experiences and all the wisdom they had in their community. And they used the knowledge of the ancient ancestor spiritual system, which we call in Haiti, Vodun, to cement them together. And the women of this island community really was the vanguard of this revolution. You know? And so when we study the Haitian Revolution, study it with an eye on the women involved. We had women who were generals. We had women who were majors and colonels in the Revolutionary Army. We had women who were leading men into battle by the thousands and winning enormous victories. We had women who were spies behind the lines. We had women and the children who were stealing the weapons from the French, because we started this thing out. We had no weapons to talk about. And we had been fighting for years. You know, we had fought Toussaint, Dessalines, and Christophe had fought together in what is known as the Dominican Republic. And they fought with the Spanish. So they had already had experience becoming soldiers. And so when the French Revolution came, Napoleon and them, and I was told this by Vaino Bello, one of our great historians from Haiti, that they had Napoleon, the Constitution that Napoleon put forth was the one he stole from Toussaint Louverture.
Wow.
Okay? The Toussaint sent to him to show this is the Constitution we want to use to govern the island of Haiti. So we need to really study that history and see that the Haitian Revolution brought an end to slavery worldwide. It took nearly 100 years for the process to be completed. But the genesis of the tumbling, of the domino effect of the tumbling of slavery across the world started with the victory by the people of Haiti,
Sure.
and them sharing their wealth and their revolution with the rest of the world. And the principle upon which they base it was African sacred science, or what we call African spirituality, or what we call Vodun in Haiti. When you say Vodun, you're saying the same thing as African spirituality. You're saying the same thing as African sacred science, not some alien something else. Okay. So this is what we want to make clear so our people understand that it's not complex. There are rules by which you can govern your character. There's rules by which you can organize a family. There's rules by which you organize a neighborhood. There's rules by which you organize a community. And by those same rules, you can organize a nation. And these rules can be traced back to African spirituality, African sacred science, our understanding of ecology and cosmology, and its relationship to us as human beings. That's what we're talking about. Not complex, it's simple. But you can confuse yourself with a dead white man hanging on a cross, or you can confuse yourself with an Arab god that tells you if you call their prophet black, they can kill you, or you can confuse yourself thinking this is the last revealing. How would God, which is forever revealing, which is forever knowing, which is forever expressing, reveal itself for the last time to anybody? That's arrogance. That's beyond anything that is positive laws of God. You know,
especially considering when that didn't predate any of the cultures and civilizations that they stole that information
it didn't predate anything, and it destroyed Africa and made it easy prey for the Western Christian European when the slave trade started. And most of us were sold into slavery by those who called and said Salam Alaikum every day and Allahu Akbar. So let's get history straight. No history, you erase the mystery. And don't get confused. Like my generation, we followed a certain path. I was a Muslim. I was an imam. I was a Hajj. I went to Mecca. I studied that history. I taught people, but I accepted the truth. Know the truth, Malcolm told us. And the truth will set you free, no matter where you find it. And when I see all of the invasions of Africa, all of the jihads in Africa during the period of slavery, selling your prisoners of war to the Western European Christians, and I ask myself, even selling other Muslims who you've defeated, and I ask myself the fundamental question, where was Allah then? Where was Jesus then? You know? Then we have to also ask the question, where was Oludumare then? Oludumare and the other great words we call to describe the divine had been crushed under the host of our Muslim, Arab, and Moorish, and other converts' horses' hoofs as they raided our poor farming villages and our fishing villages to take our land, to get our gold, to get our salt, to build their kingdom, to get our sorghum, to get our corn, to get our rice, to get our wheat.
Yeah.
That's no real. History. History will erase the mystery.
Big facts.
The only system that we've ever lived under when we were free and in control of ourselves and not submitting to some other god in some faraway land was when we had our own way before we were invaded by these others. Now we know them. They can never fool us again. They can never invade us again, coming in brotherhood with the left hand and a sword in the right hand. We'll never let it happen again.
Yes, sir. Now, and with that, how significant, because we know that the big election really didn't have anything to do with us, but one of the things we were speaking about last week that did have a lot to do with us was about voting in our communities, like voting for our local legislators, our local sheriffs. Can you kind of break down the significance of how that does play a role in how we can kind of make some shifts and changes?
Yeah, but you made a mistake. The big election did have something to do with it, because you can't separate all these things.
That's true.
We got on what we have to understand in African America is we have to have the willingness to take control of where we live. Black male, particularly, because of the assault upon the black male, the assault with drugs over nearly almost 100-year period. The drugs that have invaded our community have been controlled mostly by the wealthy people of the wealthy whites of America and the government and policing agency of the United States of America. Across the board, drugs was used as a weapon of war against the African American community for decades upon decades upon decades. And then the prison was used as a way to maintain slavery, starting with the end of the Civil War. Slavery did not end with the Civil War. Slavery is still going on in America now. We reduced it considerably in the 1960s. They called slavery Jim Crow. It was still as bad as slavery as it was when you had the shackle on your hand, another 100+ years. And so, but we live in America. So what are the weapons we use? One of the weapons our families have been able to array to use against the demonic elements that run the state called America is voting. It's the process of how you elect people to the very mundane local offices that govern your life. Who do you elect to your school board? Who do you elect to your city council? Who do you elect to be sheriff? Who do you choose to become policemen? Who do you allow to become firemen? Who do you allow to become sanitation people in the community in which you live? Area review boards, how do these people get elected? The land use boards, how do these people get elected? These are all of the local elections that you must master if you're going to be able to control the economic, politics, and culture where you live. If you're going to be able to control land, labor, and resource where you live. If you're going to be able to provide food, clothing, shelter, safety, and security for you, your family, and your people where you live, you must take control of the politics and the political apparatus where you live, because that determines what the rules are, the laws are, how monies get distributed for services like sanitation, schools, libraries, health facilities, and so forth, where you live. If you leave that to other people, then you're just their slave. You're just the neighborhood and some other people's community. And most African American communities are nothing more than not communities. They're neighborhood and white community, Arab community, Latino community, and Asian communities. Because the community belongs to the people who control the economic, politics, and culture. And if you're not controlling the economic, the politics, and culture where you live, that is not your community. You're just a neighborhood in somebody else's community. And you're not going to understand how to do this unless you master knowledge of the political system. For those running around saying, I don't need to vote, voting isn't important. Well, this is not, and those are saying socialism is the way, that's fine, but this is not a socialist society. How do you eat now? How do you sleep now? How do you get housing now? How do you get food now? We've been putting this off for the longest, waiting for the Savior to come and save us. Either the Marxist Savior, the Christian Savior, the Muslim Savior, and none of them have come to save us. Let's try the practical Savior. Master how this thing works ourselves and dominate it where we live, and then we can create any kind of socialism we want.
Yeah.
Communal, collective, and cooperative can happen anywhere in the world you make it happen. But you've got to control that environment where it's going to happen. And in America right now, there's only one way to control that environment, is to control the politics at the most local level and expand out to the state and national level. Because what happened day before yesterday was simply white people voting white. White America was not going to tolerate having a black woman as president of the United States before there was a white woman president. Okay? White men was not going to tolerate having a woman or another black as president. So this race was, and the way the vote went, had more to do with race than it had to do with economics, than it had to do with abortion, than it had to do with any of those things. It was primarily about race. And nobody is talking about race. Not a single news commentator is talking about what effect did race have on
Of
what
course.
occurred yesterday?
Let me ask you this, Professor Small, because I've been hearing this, and I don't talk politics. And it's funny, I had a conversation, a personal conversation about all that. I'm like, look, I don't talk that. I don't pay attention to it like that. I try to pay attention to it to enough to where I know what's going on. But at the end of the day, you know, I feel like what's going to happen is going to happen regardless. But there's one thing that I've been hearing that I want to get your take on it, because I feel like you're somebody who I know will probably have a lot better answer than a lot of other people that I've been hearing it from. But there's a lot of people saying that Kamala is not black. They're saying that she's something else.
What makes you black and don't make Kamala black with your light skin?
That's what I'm asking you. I want to know if
I'm flipping it back on you. You ain't that much darker than Kamala. If we're going to talk about people being black, neither you and I would be considered black if we use black, blue Africa as a term for black. Then who the hell are you and I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris, we got more, but George Washington Carver, well, not Carver, I'm sorry, Booker T. Washington was lighter than Kamala.
Oh, yeah, Professor Carver, yeah.
W.B. Du Bois was lighter than Kamala. Langston Hughes was about as light as Kamala. So what are we talking about? Skin tone? Or if you're talking about the fact that her father was from Jamaica, but the father's father was also a white Canadian. But Kamala was from the Tamil people of India, who's a part of the Dalit people, and they're blacker than most people in Africa. So what makes her black?
Melanin.
She grew up in Oakland in a black community, went to a black Baptist church, was raised by black people in the black civil rights movement, where her mother was a full participant. Kamala Harris was more black than most of the people who were criticizing her. What black men with their little, some of them with their weak self, can't understand why she married that white man. They should fundamentally ask the question, have you prepared yourself to be in place so the Kamala Harris of our community can marry your ass? You know, you want to play the white man. Why would I take the counterfeit when I can get the authentic thing if I'm a Kamala Harris? You out there playing the white man, or are you playing the black man? You only play the black man when somebody brings the question of whether somebody else is a white or black or not. But I'm asking the black man, where's the black African movement that you're a part of? All of those who criticizing Kamala, what black organization you belong to? What black movement are you a part of? What black culture and environment you trying to bring in place in the black community? You know?
That part. Yeah.
So there are people in India in the community, and I know because my wife's family come from India on her mother's side. Her grandfather was an African, her mother was East Indian, you know, and I know a lot about that family, but working with Nonko Rashidi, I got to learn a lot about the Tamil community and the Dalit community over the decades working with him in India. There's almost as many Indians, there's more black, nappy-headed, black-skinned Africans in India than there is in the United States. Wow. All the Caribbean islands combined. So what are you talking about? You've heard Kamala said her mother spoke Tamil. Who are the Tamil people? Have you gone to study them? They're blacker than most people in America. We come with our all browned up, mixed up self questioning whether somebody's black. Now, when did we come up with the degree scale that determines blackness? What's the degree scale? You know?
Yeah.
We accept that as primary. Any group that mixes with us becomes lesser than us. We are the primary element.
Facts.
If you mix with us, you are black, and we are primary. We are proficient, you are deficient. Even white folks don't know what they're saying, but they're stupid selves. They're superior. One drop of your blood makes you the owner of that being.
Yeah.
But he's telling you, you're superior to me. And we looking at it, ducking our heads because we ain't paying attention.
Yeah. Look, that's why I don't talk on things I don't know.
And I hear people criticizing Ms. Harris's. They take 2 cases out of 1,000 cases that she worked in California, trying to raise it up about some woman on welfare and some brother sent to prison. Every dope dealer Negro should have been sent to prison and had their hands cut off. Okay, everyone. When you count the men, the black men and women that died from black men dealing dope, they killed more black men and women than the Ku Klux Klan has ever killed. And you crying about somebody send some of your sick behinds to prison, they should have thrown away the keys. But instead, you know what she did? She created a program for black men that cut black recidivism while she was in the district attorney office by almost 90%. Would they brag about that?
Yeah.
And she took more black men out of jail than she put in jail. And she didn't put them in jail. They put themselves in jail because she was the DA. Her job was to lock their ass up when they broke the law.
Wow. You know what? I was listening to one of our podcasts from years ago. I think it was about maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And you were still spitting heat, but you were talking about how education plays a significant role in regards to our community as well. And in that particular piece of the podcast, I remember you saying, like, it wasn't, you know, the children and how they grow up to become, you know, more of a liability to the community than an asset because of the things that they do, the crimes and the nature. But you was also looking at that education.
Right. If you become an enemy to the community, doesn't matter whether you look to the community or not. We cry about the police murders of black people. We kill 10 times as many of our own people than any police ever killed in any given year. But still, we want Mookie and Dookie to get out of jail after they done kill John and Paul. Over what?
Yeah. What do you see as a viable solution for us to kind of to pour into our young kings and queens to kind of shift the mindset, to shift
the history of African people, teach the truth to the children, teach the history. If you don't teach your children history, you can't even have a conversation with them because they're not your children. They're whoever history dominates their consciousness. That history gives them their values, their interests, and their principles. Now, if you're not teaching your history, whose value, interests, and principles are they learning? It's certainly not yours.
The enemy.
They don't know who you are. And your history is the only thing that's going to tell them that. So we get busy, brothers. I'm speaking to the brothers, the African Americans, foundational Black Americans, or whoever you want to call yourself. You know more about a damn football game, basketball game, baseball game, the players in their game, their girlfriend, their families, the hip hop artists, than you know about the woman you're married to. You need to go home and sit down and get it together.
Nah, that's facts though. It really is.
So how do you even get the testicles of rage to talk about a Kamala Harris who's going out there putting her life on the line? You know how much death threat that poor woman have had to take, you know, wanting to do this? Or how much it took when she was back as the Attorney General in California? You'll talk about Willie Brown, and the only thing you have to say about Willie Brown is he might have been a boyfriend. Willie Brown was one of the most powerful, the most sophisticated, the most learned Black politician, or white politician in the history of California. Anybody ever look him up and see how powerful this one Black man was and for how many years? But you let the white people play your little mind, some on TikTok. And if she had some sex with Willie Brown, that would have been an honorable thing. You know? We're not even studying or listening to our own selves when we act like white people in blackface. Why are we still spending $1 trillion with Arab merchants, white Latino merchants, Asian merchants, and white merchants when we can barely find jobs for ourselves? If you were spending that money to build and create Black merchants, they can offer jobs to all of us. With the spending of $2 trillion, there wouldn't be unemployment in any Black community in America.
Yes, sir.
And let's be clear about one thing. The Black communities are some of the richest communities in America. We like to go around and play the ghetto thing, like all of us come from the ghetto, and all of us come from. I've never lived in a ghetto. Okay? And I've always lived in a Black community. Never lived in a ghetto. Never lived in impoverished. Now I'm going to say that because you need to go to Prince George's County in Maryland. You need to go to certain parts of Southern California. You need to go to certain parts of Oakland. You need to go to certain parts of upstate New York. You need to go to certain parts of Long Island, New York. You go to certain, and you find African millionaire after millionaire, where the general population in those communities are 50 to 60 to 70% Black, and the minimum income in the household is over $100,000 a year. But we don't identify those communities. We pretend they don't exist, just like white people pretend they don't exist. And we think our values should be based, right, on somebody on drugs who have been unfortunate, misused, somebody who dropped out of high school, and somebody who is not ready or prepared to take on any critical jobs in the marketplace.
How can we kind of put together the collective economics or group economics? Because, okay, let's just use
There's
the Jewish...
a bunch of economic groups across the country. Find the one in your neighborhood and join them. And I bet there isn't a neighborhood in the country that don't have some Black economic development groups going on. But we don't look to join these groups. We look to join the dudes at the barbershop who talking about the New York Yankees and the New York Mets and the Dodgers. We don't own none of those teams. And if there's a Black owner in there, he ain't got nothing to do with us. Oprah Winfrey ain't sharing her money with us. She does have a few kids get some scholarships to Spelman. That's good. The only one I know that's in the industry of owning TV stations and studio that I would even care about is Byron Allen, and the sister that owned the fleet of radio stations across, Kathy Hughes. The rest of them are just white people in blackface trying to glorify themselves because they can't among Black people because they can't glorify themselves among white people. That's Oprah and all the rest of them. You know, I ain't playing that game. They haven't done nothing to fight the Black struggle, but when Nelson Mandela came to the country, they want to be on the front line, shaking their hands. Where was the boys, the brothers and sisters who fought in the trench for Black nationalism and freedom fighting? Why weren't they on the front line shaking their hands?
That part.
You know, the collaborators get to stand in the light even when the revolutionaries step up front. You understand what I'm saying? I'm trying to make things simple now.
Oh, I get it, for sure.
You understand?
I get it.
Why, if I listen to Byron Allen, I hear what he said. I love that man. I like what he's doing. You know? So the rest of them, Bob, whatever his name, that had BET, he sold BET to the white folks.
Yeah, Bob Allen.
Bob, whatever, Johnson, his name.
Johnson, yeah, Bob Johnson, that's right.
But BET wasn't started for Bob Johnson. BET was started because Black people protested and asked the FCC to give them a Black TV station. And they put themselves in position to be able to get the license. But that wasn't supposed to be a license for them. That was supposed to be a license for the Black community. How dare they make billions and then sell it to the white people? And then walk around in the Black community like you're some hero. I'm a billionaire. You're just a Negro collaborator that betrayed the Black community. Where is our BET? Telling our story. We have to turn to the Chinese TikTok to get what you should have had BET doing for Black folks. You weren't rich enough, pimping us while you still had it in your hands. You had to sell it to the worst of the white communities in terms of running and dominating communications. The same ones who started using us as coons on TV and blackface on TV and the jazz singer on TV. They know who I'm talking about. You know?
Yes, sir.
So, hey, it is what it is. Only the truth will set you free.
That's facts.
You know?
That's big facts. So with that, Baba, where would you see us making a real big shift in regards to elevating not just the consciousness, but the state of Black America right now, where we stand?
First, understand the first thing that's got to understand: Black America is just a tiny piece of Black Africa. Okay, if you start off from that premise, but if you're going to get silly like some of the others I'm hearing, who's saying foundational Black this and some of the other terms they're using, and then denouncing Africa and demeaning and disrespecting Africa, how are you going to be anything to be respected by anybody if you disrespect your mother and your father? You disrespect your ancestry, your lineage, and your heritage. And then because you got a TV platform, you can make a little name for yourself, cussing out one another on the internet and getting the most ignorant, backwards, uninformed people to applaud you and then think you're something worthy of anything other than the stupid little collaborators you are unconsciously. Let me back up off of that and let that be what.
No, you good. Hey, listen, I told you I want all the smoke.
Tell the truth, because
that's what we want. We want all the smoke.
People don't understand what they're doing. Then they'll ask people like me to come and walk along with them. And when you tell them, I'll walk with you if what you're doing is right, when you look and see what they're doing is not right and stop walking with them, they go into wonderment. Africa is what it is. It is what we come out of. And then what goes for the Africans who are recently from the continent, if you didn't stop being African when you voluntarily abandoned our mother, how did I stop being African when I was forcefully ripped away and genocided from my mother? Yeah. And so you need to get your shit straight on the continent too. Yes, you don't own that continent. That's mine. And I'll come back. I'll even help the white man take it from me if I have to. If you understand you ain't supposed to give it to me. Share it with me. We need to be clear. We don't need to apologize to nobody. We didn't sell ourselves into slavery. No, sir. We have to apologize to anybody. Yeah. 500 years of genocidal warfare. We've been fighting this cracker for 500 years. I only know one occasion where anybody from Africa has come for us. And that was Chief Sam out of Ghana. Haile Selassie did offer us land if we would come back. Ghana offered us land if we would come back in recent time. But in 500 years, how many African governments told the American government, leave my people alone? Right. How many? But we know that they're not really African governments. These are colonial collaborators. Yes, sir. These are imperialists. I don't want to call them by the name they should be called. These are colonial collaborators and traders. And the same thing here in America. Yep. Black politicians, most of them, not all of them, but most of them that we've elected to Congress are nothing more than hustlers and collaborators. Yes, sir. And that's our fault, because we should give the pimp, the hustler, and the collaborator one term. And if you don't serve us in that one term, we vote your ass out in the next. I'm not saying I'm not going to vote. Then who's going to be governing your community? It's like the brother saying, well, I ain't coming, I'm not going to become the pig. So you'd rather the Ku Klux Klan be your policeman? Yeah. Because you don't have the courage to see if you can become a cop? That part. But you want to run around the community pretending you can shoot a gun, shooting up our women and children in the middle of the streets year round across the country. Yeah, warring against the wrong enemy. Yeah. And you want to become men? Every black man getting out of high school, I wouldn't even go to college. The kids going to college are coming back as trader and collaborators, 90% of them, whether they're meant to be or not. Join the American military and come back home and become the policemen and the National Guard and the firemen in your community. You think that's a bad path? Show me another path that you outlined for you to take there. You show me another path that's going to get all these white boys out of our community as our policemen and state troopers. You'd rather sit back, give the guns to your enemy, the legal guns. Give the guns to the Ku Klux Klan and the racists and the white supremacists, then cry when one of them blow your silly brains out. Because you've given them the guns and given them the authority and given them the right, because you say you don't want to be that. And you tell me in what country in the world that makes any sense, except in the black community of North America. Yeah. I'm not going to fight for them. Well, who are you fighting for? Look at the statistics on how many blacks was killed in the black community around the United States in the last 10 years by black hands. Who are you fighting then? How many white men came in our community and raped our women? This you raping our women. Who you fighting? How many people have walked away and left their children abandoned? Some because you ain't got no job or no money. Well, if you don't have no job or no money, become a policeman, become a fireman, become a sanitation man. Make some money then. If that's the way you want to look at making money. But you're not going to do that unless you're willing to step up to the game. But you'd rather walk around your community, let the Klan run the police department, let the white supremacists run the police department, let the neo-Nazi run the police department, let the racists run the police department, and you walk around talking about yelling at a man with a gun at your head and think you're being brave. You're being stupid, about to get your brains blown out. You think there's something brave about being stupid?
No, sir.
If you live in a community, you should run that community. And you need to say, what makes up a community? The fire department, police department, the board of education, sanitation department, the water department, okay, the health department, okay, and more. But if you're not running those things, who is running them? People, white people who don't live in your community is running all these things in your community, and you sit back calling yourself a man? What kind of man? What kind of man? Only thing you running is the conversation on the baseball game, the football game, who screwed who last night, who messing with who woman, who just dropped a new album on hip hop, who just said the F word or the B word or the MF word the most or the loudest. And then you calling that your culture. Don't even have a clue how to spell the word culture or what a culture really is or what culture does. So let's get responsible. We said we love our women and our children, then let's protect them. And you can't protect them if you don't get control of the community you live in. You can't protect them unless you become the policeman. You can't protect them unless you dominate in the National Guard in your community. You can't protect them unless you're willing to become the state trooper. You can't protect them unless you're willing to be the fireman. You can't protect them unless you're controlling the education in the community you live in. That's how you protect your family. And you can't provide food, clothing, shelter, safety if you're spending a little bit of money you and your family is making with Arabs, with white Latinos, and notice I'm saying the difference between black Latinos and white Latinos, right?
Oh, yeah.
White Latinos, Arabs, Asians, and white folks running in the store because they smile with you. Hell, if you were paying me $100,000, $300,000, I would smile at your stupid self too. Yeah, I'll hold a conversation with you and make you feel important with some uneducated imbecile behind a cash register who wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire. It's holding a conversation with that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, this the energy you had the other day when we was talking. I was like,
it's real.
Nah, I know.
We can talk about Miss Kamala Harris is not black. At least Miss Kamala Harris has put her ass out there to try to make a difference. Where's your ass?
Yeah.
Sitting where? Doing what?
Yeah.
How are you determining? We only got about 40, 50 healthy years to live and we die. Then we leave children and grandchildren here. How are you going to determine in that 40, 50 years how better their lives are going to be?
Facts. That's real.
I went to a beautiful setting last night, right? I was hanging out with the WuTang clan.
Yeah.
Right?
I was
Them some bad brothers, right?
Oh, yeah. Look, my cousin told me to give a message to you. I'll tell you later.
Okay. He was down there last night?
Nah, he lived down this way, but I told him, what you was doing, who you was doing it with. He loved the Wu, so he asked me something, but I'll do it off air.
Okay. Yeah. So, we had a good time. We had a good time. They were screening a new movie that they've got, and a major concert that WuTang did in Red Rock Canyon Amphitheater in Colorado. But what was significant about it, they were backed by a full orchestra.
Wow, that's what's up.
While they're playing to a live audience.
Wow.
And then scoring a martial arts movie all at the same time as it's playing in the background.
That's dope.
Only WuTang can pull that off. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, because the RZA, the producer of the Wu, but he always had the strings, and you know what I'm saying? Like that's why their beat and their sound was unique because the RZA was the mastermind.
Well, RZA was the master.
Yes, sir.
RZA was the master, and he narrates a lot of this piece. And Papa Wu, like he was my son, God bless his soul. I go back to the Bubadika Sonny Carson in the days when WuTang was just starting.
Yes.
And we were like intermediary trying to work with these youngsters in Brooklyn. That's part of my background. People don't know when I'm walking the streets with a Bubadika and them in the morning, making sure the sidewalks and Fulton is clean.
Oh yeah.
Or somebody gonna be in trouble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Look, I gotta put up all the old interviews.
That's right. When we roll up in the neighborhood, if you got a crack house, you better close the door and lock it down.
Oh,
we're gonna kick the door down.
Yes, sir.
Black man against crack. Bubadika Sunny Coffee. You know, Alambe Brat.
Yes, sir.
Brother Aline.
Yes,
Brother
sir.
Ali. Brother Rashid. Brother Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
You know, that we didn't make the big news with all of that, but there we were.
Yeah.
Okay, this is when Wu was giving birth to it stuff.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. I saw a lot of the old heads I hadn't seen. I think I'm the OGs. I saw the mother OGs out there last night too. You know, many of them, because I knew God allowed a father. And so many, you know, most of the people in WuTang comes from the 5% nation of God on earth. And so it was just cool being in that environment. You know.
Yeah.
I can say that a lot of brothers there last night was my people.
Oh yeah. They legends too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Global legend.
Piece is a fantastic piece. And then there's a new piece that they're coming out with called Killer Hill, talking about the projects they grew up in and the death of one of their very close friends, what led to that death in the community based on how we behave in our community, one towards the other. The lack of true love, because we're trying to interpret white love as being love, and it shows it's not love. It only leads us to killing ourselves instead of learning what African love is. That the white man has made us resent Africa, that we are ashamed of being what our mother was, what our father was, because the devil has made us resent it, afraid of it. All I've ever wanted to be was black.
Yes,
and
sir.
be African. I remember when I was 20, just turned 21, I wanted a dashiki. The fad for dashiki was just starting. And my mama said, I'll make you a dashiki. So she went in the kitchen and she took her kitchen curtains down. The ones that had the little teapot and the saucer and the cup on it. And she cut them out and made her son a dashiki. So I was walking on with my dashiki with the teacup, the coffee cup, you know what I'm saying? But I had a dashiki. And my mama, today is her birthday. And so me and my brother and them were celebrating her birthday today, calling each other around the country. She's an extraordinary African queen.
Yes, sir.
Who raised an extraordinary African family.
Yes, sir.
I couldn't have done any of the things I did in the early age with Malcolm's organization, with the party, with the Literacy Army, without my mother.
Yes, sir.
I role in the movement, in the streets with Queen Mother Moore, with Malcolm's sister, Ella Collins. That's who she ran with. That's who she worked with. There was no demonstration that old lady didn't make. Dr. King marched against the war. She took off from work to make sure she was in that crowd. She probably couldn't even see Dr. King way down there on 42nd Street, but she was in that crowd. When they went to Washington in '63 in the March on Washington, she was on that bus.
Wow. Do you know a brother named Mukasa Dada?
Brother Mukasa?
Yeah.
Down in DC?
He's in Atlanta now.
Yeah. I know Mukasa.
Listen, me and him, we getting it in tomorrow, but it's funny because he was talking about, well, you know his history. He was part of the Panther Party and best friend with Stokely and all that. So, man, listen, I can't wait. I was telling him, you might be watching because I was telling him I had you on tonight. I was like, look, I got two freedom fighting legends back to back going on.
That's a brother with straight up credentials, never missed a day at work. Mukasa. Never missed a day at work. And you got to respect him. Every black child in America should know him. Instead, we know who the football player was and who the quarterback is and who hit the home runs, but we don't know who Mukasa is.
Listen, they're about to find out. This channel gonna know who he is.
Okay. That's what your job is.
Yes, sir.
To let the world know. Yes. So we come back to what do we do now? What we do is begin to inform ourselves. See, all this technology out here, we've lost any excuse. Because you can flip on YouTube. I told my daughter today, I asked my granddaughter something about Kim and she didn't know it, so I jump on her mama. You understand? There's no reason why my granddaughter don't know these certain things. If y'all got YouTube, you got one of them smart TV, but you got YouTube, and I have them watching you, Daddy. Well, I want you to watch Dr. Ben, watch Dr. Clark, watch Francis Weldon. They're all on there.
Yes, sir.
So take advantage of what this demon has put together with technology that we gave him, right? And
Yes,
use this. The kids can't go out to the lecture the first world like I used to do. So use that YouTube and have them watch, Heavy is the Crown.
Yes, I
think
forgot
that's
about
one of
that.
the best piece I did on spirituality.
Brother Seven,
Yeah.
Seven?
Brother Amadeus Christ.
Amadeus Christ, yeah. His company is Seven.
Seven
Yeah.
and the Snake,
Yep.
So also watch the piece we did on Haiti that you were just talking about.
1804.
1804.
Hidden
That's
Colors.
such an extraordinary piece to show you what the Haitian Revolution did, what the implications of. And I've been to Haiti multiple times, and I've been up in the mountains in the Citadel, and I rode that bus from Port-au-Prince to oh God, where we have to go in order to get to the palace. And you look like you're only 3 feet from the edge of those cliffs that dropped into oblivion. So I just used to lay back on the bus and go to sleep. I said, well, if God bring me on the other side, then I'm fine. But I remember when Marima came back and said, North James, if I'd have known that, I never would have got on that bus. Never do that again. But no, we have to begin to, as Black men, call meetings of our close friends and meet in one another's living room and start raising the question. First, how do we start study classes in our homes for our family and our children to teach our history, our culture, and the politics at least once a month? Second, how do we get control of the PTA and the school boards in the community we live in? And I'm saying you don't need no big organization to do this. Call just your friends together, the ones you watch football with on Sunday, the one you watch baseball with. But instead, raise these questions. Let's sit in the living room. You want to have a cold beer? Have a beer. Want to have a glass of wine? Have a glass of wine. But have this discussion. I'm not going to tell you to become a porous and become a Nation of Islam type Muslim. Most of us ain't going to get there.
Yeah.
But we don't have to get there to save our family.
Right.
It'd be nice if we could all get there, but that ain't where we're going. Some will get there. But right now, we can get to a meeting in the same living room you meet to watch the baseball game in and the football game in. Let's meet in that same living room and talk about how we get control of the school board.
Yes.
Let's meet in that same living room and talk about how once a month our 4 or 5 families can come together and watch 1804.
Yes, sir.
Watch Out of Darkness.
Yes,
watch
sir.
Dr. Ben. Watch Dr. Clark. Watch The Happy. We can do that and change the conversation.
Yes.
Oh
yeah.
And
we're gonna do it on this channel too.
That sounds too simple, but if we just do that, I guarantee you, after 2 months, you'll see a shift in your entire community.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And then the next thing we need to do is discuss how, in this community that we live in, we can stop shopping at these little bodegas and grocery stores that belong to people that do not live in our neighborhood, do not invest in our neighborhood, and do not hire people from our neighborhood. How can we get our goods and services without going to these people? And that may mean you got to invest your money together and rent a building or buy a building and open your own damn grocery store.
Yep.
Hire your son and your nephews and your cousins to work in there and run it. You understand? Those are the conversations we need to have. That don't sound big and powerful enough. But if you do those things, you become so big and powerful, you won't even recognize yourself.
Yeah. It's progress.
Every year, they have the police exam in every city in America. Let's find out when are those exams. And let's find out what are the basics that's required to pass those exams. And you can go to Barnes & Noble and buy those civil service tests and get our young men and young women in a room once a month or every other week and get them to study these tests and then send them down there in droves to pass these policeman tests and fireman tests and corrections officer tests. And if they try to push them out by coming up with what they call the psychological, that is the interview by some cracker. And then they'll say, oh, but you're not, even though you passed the physical You pass the written, you fail the psychological, then you challenge them in the courtroom. And I guarantee you'll win every time.
Yeah.
That's what I'm recommending. If you're not bold enough to go in the army, you think that's too far for you. You're too cowardice to handle it. Please, I get it. Okay. Let's find another pathway then.
Yeah.
Go to Barnes and Noble, buy those books on the civil service exam, and then you go sit in your living room, and you and your ball watching brothers, right? Y'all who talk and know everything about baseball, football, basketball. Y'all bring your nieces, your nephews, and your cousins, kids, and everybody in there, and once or twice a month, and teach them how to pass these tests. So when time for the police tests come up, you can send 10 or 15 kids there. And if we did that from every community in a year, 2-3 years, we'll control most of the police forces in our community. And yes, you're going to get some bad apples who are going to do what those brothers in Atlanta did, but we'll weed out the bad apples.
Yeah, like backing down.
I'd rather weed out the bad black apples than to have to be bowing down and kissing the feet of a bunch of Ku Klux Klan crackers. We let them control the police where we live.
Yes, sir.
That's the reality. Everything else we could be lying to ourselves. And because you have a friend who's white, that don't mean you're supposed to hate your friend. I ain't trying to tell you give up your white friend. You know what I'm saying? I got some white friends, really beautiful people. I'd even die for a few of them.
Yeah,
I got a couple of friends like that. But we're not talking about the 1 or 2 people who we grew up with who've been friends.
Right.
We're talking about the general white program of controlling the black community, using the worst of the elements of the white community to do it.
Yes, sir.
Let's take our community back from them. And we can't take it with the gun. That ain't going to work in America. So stop playing. Right? Stop playing. We tried that on a limited level. And we got some of our best minds locked in prison for 30 and 40 years. And yes, we can glorify them, but that mistake being repeated over and over again is not worth glorifying.
Right.
Let's find ways to take over our community. Let's do the studying. Let's do the grunt grassroots work. Let's join the Democratic Party and take it over in our community. And I'm not just talking about taking it over in blackface. I'm talking about taking it over in black progressive faces. Throw the Negroes and the niggas out. And you take over the party. But you can't do that if you're not there.
Yeah.
You can't do that if you don't know how to get on a ballot. You can't do that if you don't know how to do a petition. You can't do that if you don't know what the voting laws for your city or state is. You can't do that if you don't know how to run for city council. You can't do that if you don't know how to run for the school board. That's the homework we've got to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? You just gave me a good idea because it's a sister that's a part of my ELA. Shout out to Oshun Fulade. She's doing phenomenal work in the community. Rallies, voting party, everything. So it's like I'm gonna get her on here. So I'm gonna try to get her on here as well to speak about how to get us into those positions and into those roles, because I know for a fact she's doing great work, doing that now.
We gotta study. We can't sit back and leave it to somebody else and get pissed off and they don't do what we want them to do.
Right.
We got to get out there and make sure we're the one doing it. We've got to know, if I want to run, say I said, brother, I'd like to run for city council in the neighborhood you and me live in. And neither one of us know how to get me on the ballot. Then we've got to go and study what is the state law and how to get somebody on the ballot.
Yes.
What is the city law? All that's right there in the library, down in the city archive. What does the law say? How do I get a petition? Who do I go to get petitions? How many names I need on my petition? What are the laws and rules that govern how petitions are signed so that we have the signatures right? And we hear all these things about signatures, this and this. There's a bunch of rules that govern all of this stuff.
Yes.
We don't want to know them because we're too busy talking about who Jay-Z is trying to see on the side because he's tired of little sister. We get more up into that. Then we get into, how do I make this a better world so my daughter will not get raped tomorrow? So my wife will not get murdered on the way to work.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Let's stop talking the yada, yada, yada. Kamala, black or white. You didn't ask if Trump was black or white.
Right.
And yet you were going to pose him as an option But whether he was black or white was not a criteria.
Mm.
But you made that a criteria for the woman. So
yeah,
know the truth, and the truth will set you free.
Yes, sir.
Learn your history and you'll erase the white man's mystery. You know, and we got to be willing to do both. Learn that truth, erase the history. The same meeting we're having, watch a basketball game. That's cool.
Yeah.
I like LeBron and a few of the others. I only know about 2 names, but I ain't into sports like that. Everybody want to give me some money, but I'm not being more. If I want to get emotionally jerked around, let me find some beautiful black woman to do that. Not big old dude running up and down a basketball court. I ain't there like that.
No, that's right.
So, but after you watch the basketball game, break out LeBron Bennett's Shaping of Black America. So now we're going to go into this.
Yes, sir.
Bring the beer. Bring another round of cold beers. Because now we're going to discuss Ivan Van Sertima, the came before Columbus.
Yeah. Right. Look. And look, I was going to bring this in because with the significance of the number 9, you know, being connected to Yeah or Yeah. What about Brother Neely Fuller's work, the code? Yeah, I got that one sitting right here about the 9 principles of the Brother Neely Fuller's the compensatory counter racism code. It talks about the 9 elements.
Who Sister Francis Welding studied on that and quote frequently.
Yes.
In her lectures.
Yes, sir. Yep.
And I got to meet Brother Neely a few years ago. I was touring the National Museum with Brother Tony Browder, and he was there. And
that's what's up.
We met each other many, many years ago, but at that time I hadn't seen him like 20, 30 years. And he was still as sharp as a tack.
How old is he now? He's an elder, right?
Got to be in his late 80s. Wow. He was in his 80s when I saw him at the museum.
Wow.
And that was about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, you got some powerful work, man. Powerful.
No, but you're not going to, people talk, well, I'm black. What makes you black besides the conversation?
Right.
What is the black culture you're talking about? What is the black value? What is the black spiritual institution you're talking about? What is the black history you're talking about? Teach that to yourself and your children so when they say I'm black, they know what it is they're making a reference to.
Facts.
You got a child going and saying I'm black and sitting in the school feeling inferior to everybody that's in the classroom. Because the only thing that they can say about being black is to say I'm black. Past that, they know nothing about their history, nothing about their culture, nothing about their value systems, nothing about their spirituality, nothing about what their relationship to one another should be. Well, they see other kids functioning within their cultural orbs. Our child is sitting there by themselves feeling inferior because you haven't given them anything other than to say, I'm black.
That's facts. Big facts. Speaking of that, Baba, great work in Ghana as well. Can you kind of speak to the tribe about what you have going on over there in Ghana right now?
Yeah, well, in Ghana, which is now you're seeing manifest in a number of other African countries, Rwanda, Tanzania, Kenya, and Benin, and hopefully Senegal is beginning to come on board. Ghana has opened its doors for dual citizenship for Africans in the diaspora, especially from the African American community. Ghana has agencies that, if you're wise and you use them, setting up business in Ghana can be very easy. Me and my comrades, we own a 30-room hotel. They have swimming pool, pool bar, cocktail lounge, full kitchen, restaurant in Cape Coast, Ghana. We have we've set up what do you call it? It's not a bank. You tell them I'm tired. No, it's an economic. It's
like a credit union.
A credit union.
Gotcha.
So and we run that credit union out of the hotel because we have some stores there in the hotel complex. We have an African association made up of both Ghanaians from the continent and most of them Africans in the diaspora in the central region. And then you have an African American association, which is set up throughout Ghana for those who come back and want to repatriate and build homes. And thousands and thousands of African Americans, and especially African Caribbean, particularly from Jamaica, have moved to Ghana over the last 20, 30 years and opened businesses, retired there, bought homes there, built homes there. And try to work with as many schools as you can to help them with the basic things we may take for granted: computer in the classrooms for the children, good bathroom facilities in the school, facilities for the children, helping build boreholes so that the kids have fresh water at the schools and don't have to go long distance to get water and bring back to the school. Things like that. Any of us can do. Taking medical supplies, first aid kits to distribute to the school systems throughout the country where we travel. And also those who can do more can assist with bringing medical supplies where you can get them X-ray machines, beds, things for the hospitals, and many, especially the outlying areas. Those are all of the things different groups are doing, as well as partnering, financial investment, and partnering in different businesses, from mines to restaurants, from clothing stores to selling pineapple juice by the pineapples that are grown there. Learning how to use the coconut, what do you call it? The husk from the coconut to make fabric. There's all kinds of possibilities for businesses in the country, to automobile repair facilities. There's a lot of used automobiles in the country. I wish they would stop being the dumping ground for European used facilities, but that they're there. They need auto mechanics.
Yep.
They need people who can put these automobiles together and make them roadworthy. And we know if you got the right mechanics, Cuba's got automobiles that's been on the highways since the 1950s. The majority of the automobiles, okay?
Wow.
So we can do the same thing in Ghana. So we don't have to buy your stuff while we're developing our own automotive industry. You know? Ghana has a large agricultural industry.
Oh, right? Yeah.
Corn, tomato,
the mangoes, the fruit was phenomenal. Oh my
God. Cashews, shea butter. All of these are there to be developed as industry in the agri sector. So there's so much you can do, but you need to go there and visit first, go among the people. The Ghana Investment Board should always be your first stop. When you find out who to contact in what industry, and the government will help you do that, so you can safely move about the country and be able to meet the right people, given the industry that you're interested in.
Yes, sir.
So Ghana is a must stop for anyone going to Africa, because that's where a lot of us have made our entry point. So many people have moved on to Tanzania and built their homes, South Africa, Uganda, Rwanda, Tanzania, Kenya. But Ghana is the premier gateway.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And there's still so much opportunity there. Even if you're just looking for a good place to retire.
Yeah.
It's only a 9-hour flight to get back to your children when they come home and visit. You know,
it's phenomenal too.
Not as far away as you think. You get on that plane, it's 9 hours. You're back home. Visit with your family. And then go back to your African paradise. You know,
yes, sir.
And enjoy your life in the village. Become a part of the culture again. Learn the culture again. In Africa, they're growing too. They're returning the Negroes too. Colonialism is slavery. They lost their history and their culture too. And they're trying to learn it all again, just like we are.
Yeah.
But the advantage is they're on their own land.
Yes, sir.
In their own countries. Speaking their own language, which is our land, our country, and our language too.
Yes, sir.
This one belongs to us too, because we build this. I wouldn't give this back to the white man for nothing. We build this in our blood. But I'm not going to give up Africa with all that gold and diamond and coltan and cobalt and oil. Are you crazy?
Listen.
I ain't giving that up to nobody.
Listen.
And I'm not giving America up either, because we built this. This is built in our blood. We built the technology that created the technocracy that makes it the most powerful country in the world.
Yes, sir. Blood, sweat, tears, equity.
So we own this and we own that too. Smart enough, you know how to work both.
Yes,
But
sir.
you can't do that if you're giving your money away to all these other ethnic groups who would not urinate on your butt if you want fire. And that is true. That's fact.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
how do we stop shopping? And how do we sit down in our families and sit down in our churches and sit down in our soil and take all this artificial hair off of our heads? That is $1 billion industry for the Asians, and give them their artificial hair back and grow our own hair. You know?
Nails and toes, too.
That's going to save you some billions of dollars. And take that hair money and buy up a city block or two and open your own business.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You walk past the black beauty shop and you go to a white Latino beauty shop to get your hair done.
Asian nail shops.
And go to the Asian people to get your nails done. These are people who don't live in your neighborhood, don't invest in your neighborhood, don't respect you, except grin at you because you're coming stupidly to give them your money, while the black beauty shop is going out of business.
Yeah.
And you say, I'm black. I belong to the Afro-American community. You ain't got no community because you don't own nothing in it.
Mm.
And you want an African-American community, own the businesses and resources where you live. Control the economic, politics, and culture where you live. That's what Malcolm X called black nationalism.
Yes, sir. The Honorable El Haj Malik El Shabazz. Yeah.
So, and there ain't much to say because the stuff that needs to be done is so simple.
But we got to do it, though.
You got to do it.
Yeah.
And it has to start with your family. You have to start doing it in your household. Then invite your brother and friend. You got partners you all hang out with. Y'all talking about your man cave. And, oh, I thought the white man came out the cave, but since y'all want to move into the cave with the white man, okay, cool. So you're in your man cave, right? So take an African history book in the man cave with you. Take a DVD player by Dr. Clark, Dr. Ben, Dr. Small, Dr. Jeffrey, Pastor Douglas. Take that into the cave with you. Watch the ball game, but after the ball game is over, you go to the bathroom, fresh yourself, break up some new cold beers, then get into how am I going to free myself?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to maintain freedom.
Yes, sir.
How am I going to protect my woman and my children? Yeah. We should be tired of going to the jailhouse to bail out somebody, or going to the morgue to identify one of our beautiful kids. Then they got to kill out there in the foolishness because we didn't give them nothing that makes sense to be a part of.
Yes, sir. That's facts. Yeah, man.
That's my advice. Trump is the president of the United States for the next 4 years, unless something happens between now and then.
Hey, well, I mean, you never know.
Forget about that. There ain't nothing you can do about that. Black folks, you did good. They attacked black men throughout this election period, and it was false based. Black men voted at the same rate they voted in the last presidential election.
Yeah, they was texting me. They was texting me with some greasy texts too. I'm like, man, y'all better slow down. Like, for real. Like, they were talking real greasy with them texts.
Yeah, and most of it was crap. It was just ignorant, backwards Negroes. Some was paid to do it. Some was doing it because they were just vulnerable. Black men voted at the same rate or a couple of degrees more than they did in the last presidential election for tariffs.
Right.
Okay? Now that 20% that voted for Trump, that same 20% voted for Trump the last time. It was actually 21% that voted for Trump the last time.
They were probably paid actors.
Some of them wasn't, some of them just backwards. Some actually believe that because they got a little business, that came because of the white people. That keeps them from being responsible to black people and having to go up against white people. You see? And so we understand that. But first of all, we see that whole attack on black men is unwarranted and lies. You know, and a lot of people got caught up in that crap. Thank God I didn't.
Well, that's even like the Diddy thing. I meant to make a video about that because first and foremost, I don't condone anything that if he did it, that he did. But one thing I've been talking to people about is like it's mighty convenient for us to jump in and help them assassinate the character of another brother. But where the hell was y'all at when then Harvey Weinstein and Tom Hanks and all these other, you know what I'm saying?
You want my advice? Leave the Diddy thing alone. Diddy's been out there doing exactly.
Well, trust me, I'm not supporting. I ain't supporting him.
I'm not saying support him, but even in front of our eyes, he did what he's doing. That hasn't been hidden. People have been talking about this for years.
Yeah, that's true.
So he wanted to lay with the dog, so he got the fleas with the dog. I don't care if Harvey Weinstein ever go to jail. All right, because he shouldn't have been doing nothing that he was doing. We saw him that was no fake tape of him kicking that sister. If that was the only sister he ever kicked, somebody should cut his damn feet off. You'll kick your mom. First you done turn her into a whore for money and use her mouth, and now she's trying to run away from it and get away from it. You're gonna come and kick her like she's a dog. Even if it only happened to one person, that was one too many.
Oh yeah.
You know, but Diddy ain't the only one. He the only Negro that got busted. Russell Simmons smart. He got his butt out of America years ago.
That's a whole nother conversation.
They knew what they went into bed with those crackers that ran the industry. That's the same people that murdered Sam Cooke, murdered Otis Redding. They knew they were getting in bed with those people. Murdered Michael. They knew. Murdered Prince. They knew they were in bed with those people, but they wanted the money. I knew other people in that industry that didn't take that money, so they didn't have to take the money either. When P. Diddy took that fall at City College for those kids that died, he didn't have nothing to do with it. I was the head of the student union at City College at that time. He didn't have nothing to do with it. He took the fall. That was a rich, white music mogul daughter that closed that door that got those kids killed. They tried to get Dougie Fresh to take the fall on it. Dougie Fresh's father said that shit ain't happening. And then they cut Dougie Fresh out of the music industry damn near completely from that moment on. P. Diddy took the fall for them and let the white girl go free, and they big him up. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
Okay. So you made the decisions you made because you liked the money. You thought you had real power, and the cracker showed you the only power you had is the one I gave to you. And I get ready to take that back away from you. I'll take it from you. Now, I remember that happened to Kanye, but Kanye never surrendered to them.
Yes, sir.
All right.
That's why they tried to make him out to be a damn fool.
Right, but Kanye wasn't no fool. They were the fools.
Yes,
they
sir.
broke the contracts. They had to pay him. He didn't have to pay them nothing.
Yes, sir.
You know, and they kept that part quiet. They didn't say, oh, we had to pay this dude billions of dollars. But he was clear. He said, you can take all my millions, billions. Even if I only got $1 million, I'm cool. I got me.
Yes,
he never surrendered himself to it.
And he spoke out about it too.
The others didn't. They killed Teddy Riley's brother, murdered him, put his body in a speaker and shipped it to their office. Teddy Riley and Blackstreet never yielded to them. The reason Blackstreet went out of business because Blackstreet refused to do hip hop. They said be a rhythm and blues artist. Those same master controllers who created gangster rap. Gangster rap wasn't created by no black kids. It was created by white folks. And they paid dumb, ignorant, in-need black kids to push it.
Yeah.
It was an assault and an attack on the psyche of the black youth world. And it worked across the world. I was talking
about that like 2 episodes ago. That's a whole nother conversation, Professor Small.
But when Blackstreet says, we're not going to become your users and misusers of black people, then they told them, then your records won't leave the warehouse. The white folks will just start charging distribution. That's when Blackstreet dissolved. Teddy told them that I don't have any contract with you. Blackstreet have a contract with you. And if there's no more Blackstreet, there's no more contract. So you didn't have to take the deal that Diddy took.
Right.
You know, Dougie Fresh didn't take that deal. They knocked Dougie out of the business. After that thing at City College, you don't have no more but Dougie Fresh because Dougie Fresh wouldn't take the fall for the little white girl.
DMX, X was a victim of it. I feel like
the way they went after X-Clan, you know, so they didn't take the fall for that. KRS-One didn't take the fall. A lot of people didn't go the way Diddy went. So he can take. You wanted to have all the champagne you want and all the women you want and all the drugs. Well, you had it, but there's a price to pay the cracker for that. And now you're paying it. You know?
Mm.
All those other people, sister soldier, who you stood by and let get destroyed by the system. You can't do this and then expect that somebody's going to come running to your rescue because you're skin black. No. There are black folks who we should run to just to cut their friggin' heads off for the crimes they've committed against our community. That's to save them. I understand Harry Weinstein, but this Weinstein system. Weinstein runs the system. The Weinsteins run that system. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
He killed in jail because he just knew too much that he could bring too much dominoes down on them. So they just take him out.
Yeah, he was out there wilding.
Yeah.
I got a couple of questions real quick. I know it's getting late, Professor Small. You got enough time to answer a couple questions from the tribe?
Just a couple. At 9:41, we're gonna end at 10.
Look, I already know. It's been a while, but I still remember how you get down. I ain't never gonna forget. I appreciate you. But one of them is Brother King said, Brother Tyree King said, how does Masonry tie into our history? And are we the originators of the craft?
You know, I don't think there's any question that we are the originators of the craft. We are originators of everything.
Yes, sir.
Any black person who don't want to accept that, that's on them. Yeah. You know, your fake Christianity came out of us. Your fake Islam came out of us. Your fake Hebrew came out of us. All of that came out of Africa. All right. But that not as African. They all came out as fragments of white people's attempt to use pieces of an African system of socialization to govern their behavior and develop their character. What we call Freemasonry in the West is the same thing. It's fragments of the educational system of African people going back into Ancient Kemetic and before. Okay? Masonry is a society of secrets. It's not a secret society. A society of secrets. And that society of secrets is about telling people how to best organize yourself to survive, to protect, and to ensure you're in control of the economic, politics, and culture where you live. That's all it is supposed to do. The only other secret it has is to keep from you the knowledge that this came from you in the first place.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And black people used Freemasonry after Prince Hall and the brothers in the 1700s created the Free African Lodge in Boston very well. The how do you say, the advancement and progress we saw in the African community after slavery is not owed to the black church as much as it's owed to Freemasonry that worked behind the black church and from within the black church. The degree to which Freemasonry and the black community have declined as an influence is the degree to which the black church have declined as an influence. Yeah. So it's a tool that's still there to be used, but you have to be willing to study the history and know the culture. I'm a Freemason. I'm a member of Prince Hall Cornerstone 37. I was the New York State Grand Lodge. Any wise black young man would join the Freemason.
Yeah.
And use his brain to use that organization to control the black community.
Just like you said with the military.
That's right. And to create critical leadership, because you ain't got no power to build no damn military. Because when we build our own schools, we can't maintain 6 black schools in the whole all of America. How are we gonna build tens of thousands of schools? They're already your schools. You pay for with your tax money. Take control.
Big facts.
Because you don't want to fight the white man because you're a coward. You don't want to go to the school board meeting. You don't want to become a part of the school elections. You don't want to determine who runs the school in your neighborhood. You just want to complain about the fact it's not being run properly. Then get up there and run it your damn self. That's how you solve that problem.
Facts.
So I hope that's simple enough for brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, Miss Harris is a black woman. Miss Harris thinks she's a black woman. She ain't the first black woman to marry a white man. You know, she's the first black person, because there's more black men who marry white women than black women who marry white men. So what the brother's talking about? You know, they need to stop playing. What the other name? What's the name they call the Sally Miss? What do they call
her? Becky's.
Yeah, the same brother that they're chasing Becky is criticizing her. Yeah,
Snowflakes. Listen, boy, you putting everybody on the mat tonight.
I ain't got no problem with Becky. You know, Becky can be cool too. Becky grew up. You know, since the civil rights movement, Becky grew up playing with us, going to school with us, dropping it to us, and all of that. And okay, that's cool. We ain't never had an issue with being human beings with people who want to be human beings. But don't, when it gets convenient for you, try to use it as a standard against somebody.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And then I have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Her being married hasn't stopped her from fighting for the black community. If you don't know what her role is in the black community, tune in to Obati Shaka's podcast, Baba Obati Shaka's podcast. Somebody who grew up with her, who was the head of CORE during the years. Her mama was working in the civil rights movement out there. You get a lesson on who Kamala Harris was. And you'll see, if you didn't vote for her, what a mistake you made.
Can you say the name again? What's the name of that podcast, Baba?
Baba Obati Shaka. Obati Shaka. Just go to YouTube, put in Obati Shaka. Baba Obati Shaka.
Yeah, man.
He's written multiple books on Malcolm X, on black youth, on the black woman. He's a bad dude.
That's what's up.
You know, he's a member of the ASCAC group. He was a member of the Black United Front. So, you know, and he's still an elder, still out there kicking it. 2 years ago, he didn't know how to do a podcast. We hooked him up. Bubba's running better than any of us. Just dropping the sciences, you know, dropping that knowledge.
That's what's up.
Oba, which means father, you know, Oba. I'm sorry, but King.
King, yes, sir, yeah.
King. So Oba Tshaka, named after King Tshaka of the Zulu nation.
Yes, sir.
There was nobody named Shaka Zulu. There was Shaka, king of the Zulu. Okay.
Gotcha.
So we have to be clear about that.
Yes, sir.
But it's been wonderful hanging out with you, young man. And man,
it's been a while.
We've been talking about the Orishas all along, because the Orishas are the force within us that allow us to explain reality to one another.
I sure.
All of us got Orishas, whether we acknowledge it or not, or call it or not. Because the Orishas are certain forces, certain powers in nature, within you, within the environment you're in. What our tradition allows us to do is pull them together. Pull the Orisha that's in the environment, hook it up with the Orisha that's in you, and that creates the force and the power that is you.
I say.
And the Yoruba, there's no such thing as a Yoruba religion. There's a Yoruba people that practice this thought, the wisdom of the universe. But the Akan people practice the wisdom of the universe. The Congo people practice the wisdom of the universe. The Ubangi people practice the wisdom of the universe. The Zulu people, the Kostas, the Indabelli, they all practice the wisdom of the universe. The people in Ancient Kemetic practice the wisdom of the universe. It's just that we learned the Yoruba's method of approach because they were the last group to be enslaved in this hemisphere. So they're the last layer on top. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So we remember them better. But under them is the Congo, the Akan, the Mali, the Madinki, the Madinga. All of them are here in America before the Yorubas come. You understand? And all of them practice the same thing. And that was the explosion in Haiti. All of them converged together in Haiti and became one.
Yes, sir.
Voodoo Daha. Voodoo Gazi. You know, Voodoo Daha, the nature of God's power in nature, or the essence of God's power in nature. Voodoo Gazi, the essence of God's power in man. Come from the Fan language of the people in Benin and the area language in Togo. That's where the word voodoo comes from.
Yes, sir. Listen, shout out to the all-powerful mighty ancestors. Shout out to the great God of heaven, Old Damare. Shout out to Baba Arumulab. Shout out to all the Orisha. Most importantly, and with the utmost respect, shout out to Yeye Yansa Oya. Because this has been right on time, and I'm talking about powerful beyond time. Like this was right. This was divine in its highest power, Baba. I appreciate you. I really do.
Well, Oya is also my mother.
Yes, sir.
We know that Oya is the wind. Oya is change. Her number is 9 and 11, and those numbers are sacred. Our colors could be from green to what we call maroon or brownish maroon. Each of the shades of the color determine and the strength of your knowledge and understanding of this manifestation of nature that we call Oya. And so we try to learn and practice in our daily behavior how we treat everybody we bump into in the world and treat ourselves. And so the African spiritual system is the only thing that's going to free African people. You will never be free unless you become an African again. You cannot free a spider to be a frog, because it's not a spider. And if it's not a spider, it's not free. You understand? Like you cannot free a grasshopper to be a bumblebee, because if the grasshopper is not a grasshopper, it's not free. So the African can be a Christian, he can be a Muslim, and he can have some freedoms in his society then. You can have some food, clothing, some money, but that's not being free. You're free when you become who you were before anything else altered that. You're free when you become who you were before anything else altered that. Baba, because you'd say, true freedom is to be shackled to your identity. True freedom is to be shackled to your identity. True freedom is to be shackled to your identity. And I know how frightening this is to many, many Black people. They do not want to be shackled to their identity, because the white man tells them something bad is going to happen to them. But your identity is the bosom of your mother. Your identity is the womb of your mother. It is the spiritual womb out of which you came. It's the spiritual breath on which you nurtured yourself when you were a child. If you're not willing to return back to that, you're not willing to be alive again. So, freedom, to be shackled to your identity. My identity is the African interpretation of cosmology and ecology. I am the universe. I am the universe.
Yeah. That's talking about mic drops. That's it. Yeah, on the way out, shout out to all the elders that have been on this platform. Baba Smalls, I appreciate you. Professor Kaba, Baba Ifa Karade, Baba Mukasa Dada, who the crime ain't seen yet. Shout out to the elder queen, Cynthia Martin L, that represented the Moors. Like, it's been nothing but elders coming in, doing exactly what you did tonight. And I know for a fact, like, the tribe loves it. I love it. And I can't wait to just keep going and making it do what it do. But I appreciate you, Baba. I really do. And this was right on time. And,
well, thank you for insisting. You keep calling me anything. You wanted to do it. We both are a bit tired because I've been running for a month.
You and me both.
On the continent, twice in South Carolina, once in Philly, once in Georgia, all in a month. And at 79, you can't be doing that like you used to, when you were younger. And then learning about leaving your wife behind. Even I have my children living here with us now, and that helps a lot with me going away a lot. But she doesn't care who's living here with me. She still wants me here.
No, that's right.
So, but we got to get our work done. And
yeah.
We got to use the time we have.
Yes, sir.
It asks of us. That's what we have to do.
Yes,
we
sir.
have to think about brothers like Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture. We have to think about our brother who's still locked up, brother Jamil Rat Brown, who we need to get out. Mumia, who we need to get out of the prison, and a few others still locked up in these penitentiaries we need to get out. the African governments need to show some integrity by telling the United States to release our prisoners of war back to their communities. We didn't have a single African nation make that statement yet, or the United Nations declaring our people prisoners of war. We're the only revolutionary fighters in the world whose fight, when we get captured, we're not treated by the Geneva Convention that other prisoners of war are treated by. And we have to insist upon that every day until we get them all back home. But freedom or death is what Dessalines taught us, you know, and we live by that mantra, freedom or death, nothing in between.
I sure. Yes, sir. And shout out to Yeye Oshun Bumi HRM. And shout out to the Balogun Shango USA Baba Ogun Tolu, man. I couldn't be more proud
need
of
to know my name in the Yoruba community. I'm Obenjoko Adebayo. And I'm my Baba Omatushu, who's an ancestor now, and my Baba Opega, who's an ancestor now. So you can at least know what my training lineage was. They were both out of Lagos, Nigeria. But my main shrine, this Baba Omatushu Aten, is in Chaguanas, Trinidad, Kenny Cyrus Ile Jube. My Jube Ile shrine got to be there, having left Haiti after the death of Dessalines and migrated to Caracou in the Grenadines, and from Caracou in the Grenadines to Trinidad. So you know my pedigree. So there, I'm Baba Obenjoko Adebayo. Be clear that I do have a pedigree, and this pedigree goes back to 1967. And until 67, when I'm 22, I'm raised by one of the most powerful root women in coastal South Carolina, Miss Pigeon Susan Small. So that's my lineage, that's my background, that's my foundation. I'm also in the Ghana tradition, Nana Kofi Mpansa. For 42 years, I sat on a stool in the kingdom of Agogo. So I do have lineage, and I do have background, and I do have foundation. I'm not just coming from the books. Matter of fact, most of what I come from, I ain't even in the book. You know, just listen to the ancestors and do what they send me to do. And I'm good to go.
Kabiese. That's what's up, man. No, I appreciate it, Professor Smalls. Yeah, family. I don't even want to try.
People to know I knew Kabiese. I knew Baba Surgeman, Chief Ujamu, Chief Jomo when they were still in New York, and when they lost their facility on 7th Avenue, I would allow them to meet in my mosque in the Yoruba temple on Sunday. This is back in the 60s, before they moved to South Carolina.
Wow.
Okay. Mama KK, Drama Jomo, so many of the elders that grew me up. And even while I was an imam, I was studying the Yoruba tradition. Wow. It almost cost me my life because there was a Muslim who felt there was a problem and an issue with that, because they didn't know African culture at all. When Africa, Muslims in Nigeria also studied the Ifa tradition. Yes. In Ghana, Muslims and Ards in Ghana also studied the Obotum tradition, or the Ga tradition. So in the Ga, I'm near Hito or Kropon. I studied in that tradition very deep. So that people understand that the African spiritual system is one system.
Yes, sir.
One system. It manifests different in a different ecology it finds itself being given birth to. So it's freedom or death. You know, true freedom is to be shackled to your identity. And that's that. I'm going to go sit with my wife for the rest of the evening, because last night I was sitting with WuTang and she was sitting in the bottom. So
listen,
WuTang go tonight.
Listen, I give thanks, man. Harvest to the Queen, like Mudupwe, like this was powerful. Shout out to Oyo Tunji, you know, Iba Tanu, Oba, and shout out to Lori Temple here in Tampa as well, man. I appreciate you, Professor Smalls. Like it's been real, man. I can't wait to do it again, but I definitely appreciate you. Try to appreciate you for sure.
And we beg all the Orishas to bless and guide us in what we have to do each day. That all of the Maori will approve of the guidance that is given to us by the Orisha, and that we may have the strength to do more work tomorrow on behalf of both Oludumare, Oluwarun, Oluwadu, and the Orisha. Peace and blessings. Odabo.
Odabo. That's it, ladies and gentlemen, family. I appreciate y'all, man. Don't forget to please like, share, subscribe. Professor Smalls, we out. Peace.
Ẹni tó gbàgbé ilé sàpò ìyàgbọ́ tẹ́ǹtì ẹni takísà ní tàtàn ò bá padà sílé anítìjà kọ ẹja lọ pé eégún mo ṣe ní gbẹ́rẹ́ ìpàkọ́. Forsake not your ancestors and praise your